Right, guys, here we go. This is a style of video that I've never produced before in my life, but I'm a huge fan of Tim Mosso, and I love the fact that you get to see watches in his videos, really nice and up close and personal for a few minutes. And I just thought, if you're in the market for an integrated steel sports watch, then these two will inevitably be on your radar. And they're two brands that I love. They're probably two brands that aren't necessarily the first choice for a lot of people, but as a result, I thought this would be quite fun. So this is for those of you out there who are thinking about an integrated steel sports watch, who don't want a blue dial, because we've seen blue dials, we know blue dials, but let's go for a white dial. There's something particularly fun, there's something particularly fresh about a white dial. I think it's a little bit easier to pair when it comes to, clothing and other things. So here we go. And also looks banging with a fresh tan as well on holiday. So here we go. We've got the 40mm IWC Ingenieur. And this was launched in 2023. Huge fanfare for that. Of course, the 70s Genta inspiration. We've got the GP, the Girard Perregaux, the Laureato. In this instance, the 42mm. So as you can see, a slight increase in size, but not huge. When it comes to thickness, the GP is 10.9mm thick, and the IWC is 11mm thick. And so not a great deal of difference there either. The buckles, as you can see, the butterfly is very similar as well. They are so similar in so many ways. You can have a look at the bracelet there as well. They're also very similar bracelet-wise in their construction, except for the fact that the GP, as you can see, my fingerprints all over it. Sorry, that's horrible, but that's maybe an insight for you there, is that the brush finish here on the Ingenieur versus the polish finish on the GP. So I just thought, you know what we could do, and I'm not going to try and not drop them as I do it. I thought it'd be fun just to go through and give them a little head-to-head win-loss comp. So we've got movement, case, dial, wearability, strap, cost, and then the loom as the kicker. Please let me know your comments in the bottom, because of course that's the fun bit. So first up, let's look at cost, because I think that's something that people are always considering. And at the end of the day, prices seemingly going up and up and up for new watches, but these are very, very similar when it comes to price. So the IWC is just over £10,000, so £10,100. The GP is £12,200, so just a tad more expensive. The color of the dial up next, it's quite interesting seeing them here, because they do catch the light in a slightly different way, don't they? I don't know if that's the crystal on the GP or if that's just the way it is, but the Clou de Paris sort of finish here on the GP versus the sort of checkerboard finish, the traditional checkerboard finish here on the IWC, really interesting. I would say that my preference would probably be for the GP here, just because there's a little bit more depth going on, and it feels like it's maybe just a little bit more alive. And the same for the case. There's a depth here which is created from this polish and finish, and satin finish here going on the bezel. The industrialized aspect to the IWC is appealing as well, but maybe just doesn't quite offer the same level of depth. So when it comes to dial, I'm giving it to GP. When it comes to case, I'm giving it to GP. When it comes to cost, we're giving it to IWC. When it comes to strap, I'm going to give it to IWC, because I personally don't like polished center links. For example, on the Rolex Milgauss, for example, I've never liked that. The same on the Nautilus. I just like the quietness of a bracelet. A bracelet makes or breaks a sports watch for sure. And I just like how quiet this is. I've had a Royal Oak over the years. I didn't like it because the bracelet was a little bit too loud. I've got a Laurent Ferré titanium Sport Auto at the moment, and I love that because the bracelet's so quiet. So I'm going to go for the IWC on the bracelet. Both very, very comfortable. Next up is wearability, and that's bracelet as well, really. But here we go, on the wrist. Sorry for the, you can see the mark of the previous watch on the wrist there. Very, very comfortable on the wrist. Even at 42, it actually sits. Now, I'm going to butcher this, but Tim, my wrist is 7 6 inches. No, I don't know exactly how big my wrist actually is. I think it's 7'7", but that's how it sits there. Actually quite svelte. Both feel rock solid on the wrist, and I love the font type of the date here on the GP. So wearability wise, and I'm just going to show you the IWC, because oh gosh, you know what? I've just realised. You bugger! It's a little bit tight. It's a little bit tight. So I'm just going to pinch the bracelet there. 40mm. For me, just wears that little bit better. Just that little bit better on the wrist. Am I going to be able to get it off? That's the question. That is the question, and it's a hot day. And actually, that leads us to the next point. So wearability. I'm actually gonna say, strangely enough, as difficult as it was to get on, I actually prefer the IWC on the wrist when it comes to wearability. Just that little bit smaller case size. You know, the GP actually is available in a smaller case size in 38, but not in 40, as I understand it currently. Neither have a sort of neither, as I can see, neither have a micro adjustment. So you don't have that benefit of being able to sort of adjust on the fly as such. I don't think that's the case on the GP either. So no. So yeah, really interesting. But when it comes to wearability, I'm going to say IWC on that one. So when it comes to movement, this is a tricky one because the IWC they're both actually quote unquote officially in-house calibers. This one got a little bit of stick, of course, because it's a caliber that was developed at Richemont, has been seen in other brands within the group, is seen in other models. Closed case back, rock solid, automatic caliber, but not quite the same pedigree as the GP. You know, it is open case back. It's an in-house caliber, true in-house caliber in the most you know, in the truest form. Beautiful Cote de Genève, and really quite beautiful actually. So when it comes to movement, the GP takes it, and ultimately that leaves us down to one final thing. So we've got movement GP, we've got case GP, we've got dial GP, we've got wearability IWC, we've got strap IWC, we've got cost IWC. The final element is actually the loom, which is going to be incredibly hard because I can't turn the lights off to show you. And actually, in fairness, they've probably not both been out in the light for long enough. So what I need from you guys is your comments below as to which you think gets the vote, because you know, they're both great, and they're both, I think, just that little kicker off the beaten track that you would normally expect from a steel sports watch, integrated steel sports watch. Both available and in catalogues now, and rarely seen side by side. So there we go. I'd love your comments below, guys, and thank you very much as always for tuning in.